Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Maybe this is the second time you're seeing my face today. I already did the breakdown video for today, and if you haven't watched that video, go check it out. But I mentioned in there how I'm going to be doing some lineup reviews, either of some tournament winners, myself personally, or some of you, the subscribers. So if you want your lineup potentially reviewed, hop into the Discord. There's a link down below. It's just like a group texting app, and put it into the lineup review for YouTube little channel. But I just want to start this someone off pretty quickly. And we'll start by reviewing somebody's in the Discord. Well, we'll start by reviewing the winner last night of the big NBA tournament, and then we'll go into somebody in the Discord and we'll review their lineup. So what I want to do here is I want to blow this up for you guys actually so you can see the lineup a little bit better. So let's go into these preferences quickly. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here. If this is your first time here and you're seeing a lineup review of mine and you're wondering what I actually do here, I cover NFL, NBA, and what will be MLB DFS. And I like to just go over breakdowns, and now I'm going to be doing some lineup reviews, so you can check it out. If you get any value from these, I strongly encourage you first go and watch the lineup breakdown for today, or actually the slate breakdown early on for today. I give you a bunch of data. I give you mainly just data-driven decisions that I make and things to be aware of, instead of me just putting out 5 picks for the day and saying, go ahead, fill out the rest of your lineup, which is not valuable at all. You guys can literally pick out 5 picks and make the same video, and some fish will find it and like it and things like that, but it's not helping anybody. So increase this here. So yeah, this is not my lineup. This is the person who won last night, and I want to make a couple things very clear. This is a sharp. Giant Squid is somebody who continuously wins money in DFS, so props to him or her. But looking at tournament winning lineups, I think is interesting just to see what they needed to do, the variance, the risks that they needed to take on to get there. Because if you're playing GPPs, just analyzing a tournament winning lineup and trying to copy that same formula every night in a vacuum probably isn't good. These lineups are the 1%, the top 0.001% that pop, right? You can go back in tools like Fantasy Cruncher and set all rules up to see what trends are working and see if those actually make sense. But looking at it on a one-by-one basis and trying to pick out, oh, okay, they stacked these games or whatever it might be, or multiple players from these games, because you see the most part right here, I believe it's everybody from just 2 specific games outside of D'Angelo Russell. You're probably not going to get a lot of information from a one-game spot, but we can learn from each individual spot and at least look at what they did and see what happened that was interesting. But I wouldn't recommend just looking every single day at the winner and going, okay, they stacked 5 guys from this game, I got to do that from now on, because that's not what's going to happen. These lineups are very random and also very lucky to get to this spot. Scoring 412 points, 100 more than you could see my entry did at 312, is very, very rare and very, very hard. This person probably had loads of lineups, and we could just type it in. Yeah, Giant Squid, you can see right there, just in the top 400 had multiple lineups. I guarantee he probably max entered, or she. So it's very important just to understand that what a winning lineup looks like should not just be copied in a vacuum. If you're going to be doing something like that, you should analyze all the winning lineups, get a big piece of data, and then look at the trends, not just this individual lineup. But in saying that, we're going to cover this individual lineup because, one, I think it's entertaining to actually look and see who they played, how they won that big money, and see if there is little things, at least on an individual basis, that we could take away from it and not use as a priority, but at least keep in mind, especially when these guys are pros, and seeing how they built their lineups. Giant Squid, a pro, you can see right here. Another pro coming in second, taking home $35,000 last night with a very, very similar build. Super interesting. So let's just start out with this one. And if you guys like these videos, you can let me know. They're going to be quicker, probably 10 to 12 minutes instead of 25 to 30 like some of our other ones. So I'll just start it off right away. I was very much on this Lakers and Milwaukee hype train last night. I had Bledsoe, I had Middleton in almost every lineup. I had bringing it back with Kuzma and Rondo. And Rondo I thought was a very good leverage over CP3, which turned out to be pretty much right at lower ownership. But let's see the things here. Middleton 50% owned, Bledsoe 52% owned. Percentages that I think are comfortable and think make sense, especially with no Brogdon and no Giannis. These were the 2 guys of this offense. Getting to Mirotic, which I wasn't on Mirotic until, and he's at 45% owned, until we got the news that Ilyasova was out. Mirotic only 24 minutes still. I thought he would see 30 minutes. Still only 24 minutes. Got it done though based on his price at 33.5. So what you're seeing here is a game stack, and it's as simple as that. It was the highest pace, highest total game on the slate. If we type in some other lineups from Giant Squid, probably find some similar stuff. Middleton, Mirotic, Towns, yeah, you can see Pope in all of these lineups, at least at the top. Pope. So, and Pope was the big difference at 3%, going for 50. Whenever you have that, you're automatically probably going to cash, especially when they're at a price point under 4K. So Andrew Wiggins, 40 points. I thought he was nice. 5,400. He was too cheap. Sure, he wasn't playing well, but too cheap for a guy that you can get into your lineup, especially at 12%, which seems super low, especially based on the price. But Mirotic in that similar price point, lots of people went Mirotic over Wiggins. Giant Squid played both of them. So interesting there. Karl Anthony Towns seemed like the most obvious play for me all day at 9,700 in the matchup against Golden State with no Jeff Teague or Rose. We see what happens to Karl Anthony Towns' usage. He went for 59, over 50 points, and that's with a slower second half. He's just been dominant, 26 and 21. Very interesting. This is the bigger piece of the puzzle. These three guys at the bottom here. Russell at 29% ownership. I wasn't expecting a number that high. I had no Russell. Him going for 77, the Nets coming back from 25 down. Very interesting. I think that's a smart play. I think that he has the ceiling to get you there. I think that going more expensive in the utility spot, maybe like I did, and you get a guy like Miles Turner who has a great matchup, but is his ceiling even over 50? We know that Russell's ceiling is over 50. We've seen him multiple times, many times this year, go for 55 plus, 60 plus. So going that route in a tournament, especially in the second highest total and pace game on the slate in that Sacramento-Brooklyn game, made a ton of sense and something that we could take away. So maybe that's one thing right there, is the majority of the players in this lineup were from the highest total, highest paced games, the two highest total, highest paced games, and they also offered value. And by majority, I mean 6 out of the 8. They offered value in terms that Russell's price came down due to Dinwiddie, and it probably came down too fast due to Dinwiddie and LeVert being back and healthy. We had Eric Bledsoe, obviously, without Malcolm Brogdon. We had Middleton and Mirotic without Giannis and Brogdon. So the value automatically opened up. You're going to continue with that value in that game right here at under 4% owned Pope. It was a dart throw. I'll be completely honest. This is the part that's lucky. This is how you get to the top of tournaments. You need luck. One day I played Lou Williams at 1%, 66 points. That was my best finish ever in a tournament, top 5. Kentrell Caldwell Pope, or Kentavious, if you told me before the game that he would score 35 plus fantasy points, I would have probably said, I don't see it. That's rare. You told me he would have scored 40 plus fantasy points, I would have said, there's no way. 50 plus fantasy points, that's the luck you need. 3.7%. That's exactly what you need there. You had to throw a dart throw at one of these guys. It could have been Reggie Bullock. I don't even think his ceiling's in the 50s. I don't think Pope's ceiling is in the 50s, but apparently now it is. This is a one-off. This is a under 1% chance that this happens, that he scores 50 points. But when you have that high total, fast-paced game, it lets these things happen more often than they usually would. Brook Lopez, great play, under 10% owned. I think that was just great leverage. 58 points out of Brook Lopez today. He was balling. I think he had like 30 in the first half fantasy points, 7 blocks and steals. Overall, this lineup was very chalky, and that's something that I want to point out. NBA, you should probably build a chalk lineup that you feel good about and then pivot off of one guy that you don't feel great about. I'm not sure who that guy was, and pivot to a lower owned guy. I would imagine it was Caldwell Pope. You could have pivoted off of Corey Joe, Pat Connaughton, who did play well, or even maybe Alex Caruso, who covered some ownership. And that's a direct pivot, especially in that game, whether it's Pat Connaughton or Alex Caruso, to a guy like Pope, who comes in lower owned, who wasn't as attractive in the media, and really rightfully so doesn't deserve to be. But Pope still has the ability to outscore Connaughton, to outscore Corey Joseph, to outscore Caruso at a much lower ownership. He just happened to outscore them by a wide margin, and that's how you win tournaments. So I think that's one thing to take away as well, is just that the leverage in this same exact game off of some of the higher owned but riskier or just not certain guys like Pat Connaughton, who again did well but not 50 points well, off of some of the guys like Alex Caruso, who again didn't do well, and we could have probably seen that coming because he's a bad basketball player and regression had to hit him in the face at some point. 3-game sample doesn't just turn him into a great player. So this is definitely very interesting. I thought Brook Lopez, very interesting, getting double centers into this lineup. You get a power forward / guy who played a little bit of center in the game in Mirotic. 4 guys from the Bucks, right? 4 guys from the Bucks stands out to me. This was a total game stack running it back with only Pope on the other side. Makes you very, very unique when you don't have Rondo or Kuzma running it back with like I did. I think this lineup got lucky, and that's what you need to win tournaments. It was a very smart and concise way of building a lineup. Andrew Wiggins at 12% owned in a nice spot and cheap price point for a guy who regression was going to hit him eventually. He's not just going to continue to shoot under 20%. And yeah, I think Karl-Anthony Towns was a great play. So this lineup overall scoring 412 points. Big part of that would be Brook Lopez and Caldwell Pope, the last two guys he got into his lineup, and also the two lowest owned guys in this tournament, under 10% and under 4%. Definitely a very interesting build. Yeah, you can see the chalk. There was chalk. The top five guys were, or the top five guys in his lineup in terms of Russell, Towns, Wiggins, Middleton, Bledsoe. 4 of those were in the top 6 in ownership, and then 5 were in the top 10. You can build chalky lineups. You don't have to just pivot with terrible players. I would borderline say Caldwell Pope is a terrible player, but when half the Lakers team is out and he's going to see closer to 30 minutes, it's nice leverage off of some of those other guys who are getting higher ownership. So props to Giant Squid. Took home 100K last night. Must be nice. Scored 10 more points than anybody in the entire tournament. Things to take away. A little bit of a game stack here. How he got leverage off of similar guys. Double center in the utility spot, in center spot, something that I strongly believe in. 4 guys on the same team to be unique, running it back with only 1 guy on the other team and 1 guy who was lower owned. So maybe, again, 1 game sample, but that's something as we do these more often to see if that's a trend. Game stacks and bringing it back with lower owned options on the other team. Definitely interesting. And look, the Nets coming back from a 25-point comeback is luck. And that's what happened. And that's what got D'Angelo Russell 77 points instead of whatever he would have had, 50 points. I don't know what he was at. That's a pretty big difference. If they decide to sit the starters there because they're getting blown out, well, there's 30 points or 25 points or 20 points out the window. So lots of luck has to happen to win a tournament. But if you keep giving yourself opportunities to get open to that luck and exposed to that luck by going leverage plays here and lower owned guys and actually thinking about how to build better lineups, you set yourself up to succeed. So that's just a lineup review for today. We'll be doing more lineup reviews of other people's lineups in the Discord, other winners, myself personally. So definitely feel free to check out the Discord. Drop your lineups in there if you want them reviewed, and I'll be choosing a random but a random lineup each day to potentially review, depending on if I think there's an interesting lineup at the top of a tournament, like I thought this one was, mainly because they scored over 410 points, which is very rare, and because they had guys like Caldwell Pope going for 50. Just wanted to kind of dissect how I thought about it. But that's it. This will be a quick little video that'll go up right after the breakdown. So if you like this one and if you think this is a cool video, hit it with a thumbs up. Comment down below what you think of it and how I can improve these. It's the first one ever, so go easy on me. My name's Sal. Best of luck today. You already know my name. Peace out, guys and girls.